She immediately knows that the saleswoman is on some scammer vibes. What would most women do in that situation? What would you do? Immediately react with anger? Silently accept what's being said and then turn your back and roll your eyes? I think we can learn from what Elle does, which is to respond from a place of curiosity. I love how Elle Woods is always true to her authentic feelings in the moment, without hesitation or embarrassment. When Warner breaks up with her, she dives right into her raw emotion without so much of a drip of concern of what the other folks in the restaurant will think. She's eating chocolates, she's letting herself wallow in heartbreak later. I mean, she thought this man was going to propose and told all her sorority sisters. She could have pretended to be okay and put on a fake, perfect girl act, but instead she allows herself the space to mourn the relationship before picking herself back up. When she initially decides to go to law school to get Warner back, baby, you can't tell her nothing. While everyone around her is skeptical that a fashion major will be able to get into Harvard, she's steadfast in her belief that it can be done. Although her in-depth knowledge of fashion design and hair care isn't valued by larger society, she knows she can transfer her ability to learn and retain knowledge and can easily pass that LSAT. When she walks on that campus, she's a Gemini vegetarian, and she knows that whoever said orange is the new pink is seriously disturbed. She walks on the campus in her full pink glory, completely unbothered by the confused, judgmental, hater looks from the fellow students. Later, when Brooke gives the hilarious alibi of having gotten liposuction, Elle keeps true to her moral character by keeping Brooke's secret, even if it costs her the summer associate position. She's not bowing down to pressure from the professor or fellow students. And of course, the most iconic cinematic example of a girly feminine gal staying true to her authentic self is the pink suit and the final courtroom scene. Stunning! Oh, love that suit! We can learn from Elle Woods to always be true to who you are regardless of the setting. The law school environment is definitely out of her comfort zone, but it turns out that being a lawyer just amplifies her best qualities and allows her to flex those muscles in a completely unexpected way. In our real lives, let's strive to always be our authentic selves wherever we find ourselves, because wherever you choose to go is where you belong. Don't allow outside forces to dim your light or pressure you to be something you're not. Don't be afraid to express genuine emotion in times of hardships or in times of victory. Live a full-blown, authentic life where you're not intimidated or embarrassed to throw a little lavender on a resume and be your true, authentic self. When snide comments are made to Elle, she always keeps her cool in front of the haters. I love how headstrong she is when many folks in the same situation would either react with a strong emotion before thinking or bury their head in the sand. We see the saleswoman dismissing Elle as an airhead who's a dumb blonde with daddy's plastic. I love the look on Elle's face when the dress is first presented as something that just came in yesterday. She immediately knows that the saleswoman is on some scammer vibes. What would most women do in that situation? What would you do? Immediately react with anger? Silently accept what's being said and then turn your back and roll your eyes? I think we can learn from what Elle does, which is to respond from a place of curiosity. Coming from a place of curiosity, knowing damn well that that dress is not what she's describing, allows the salesperson some grace. She asks if the fabric is low viscosity rayon, if there's a half-loop top stitching at the hem. The saleswoman could have taken advantage of that grace that was so kindly granted to her. She could have said something to the effect of, "Oh, I'm not sure, let me find out," instead of arrogantly doubling down and trying to scam our girl. And by doing that, she played herself. Elle came through with a gentle but rather firm rejection, hitting homegirl over the head with a fact and a smile. "You picked the wrong girl" is one of my favorite and absolutely underrated lines of the movie. Other examples is when she claps back at Vivian in the classroom to say she picked the more dangerous case because she isn't afraid of a challenge. When she gets rejected from the study group, she smiles. When one of the girls suggests that Elle would have called her a gay slur if she had tried to join a sorority, Elle says she would never use that type of language. She's not allowing others to put her in a box and automatically label her as a mean girl or as a bigot just because she's a pretty popular girl. She defends herself and showcases who she truly is without stepping down to their level. And she's the only one in costume at the party, but she doesn't break a sweat, honey, and she comes through with the zingers, putting homegirl in her place. In real life, be like Elle,
amount of sass
and that you want to
and
give your
grace.
haters grace by coming from a place of curiosity. If someone says something rude to you, instead of either immediately acting out of frustration or ignoring the rudeness altogether, ask them questions. Allow space for them to answer. You'll be surprised. Not everyone will double down like the saleswoman in the scene. Most folks will be caught off guard and start backpedaling immediately. But if they do double down on being rude, just be like Elle. Respond with facts that are quick, direct, and with a smile. You don't owe any hater a long, drawn explanation about anything. Confidently, kindly, and directly shut them down. Elle is a subject matter expert, or SME for all my corporate girlies. Although Elle's interests are deemed as superficial by society, she is knowledgeable about beauty and has the vocabulary to express her expertise. We see that in the scene with the saleswoman, where she sees that low viscosity ran from a mile away, child, and knows that a half-loop top stitching on the hem would simply ruin the fabric, darling. Not to mention it's so last season. Not only is she confident about getting into law school and passing the LSAT, she puts in the work. She sacrificed partying, having fun with her friends to hit the books. And when she finally realizes that Warner is not worth a speck of a fraction of her time, she grabs that cute little orange MacBook and baby, it's over. She starts excelling in class and becomes fluent in the language of law. I adore how she so eloquently breaks down the science of hair perms, which leads her to win the big court case at the end of the movie. The rules of hair care are simple and finite. We don't want to risk deactivating the ammonium glycosate, now would we? Elle is an astute subject matter expert on her passion. Find topics that you don't just enjoy but can really express with confidence the functions, the history, and the vocabulary on that special subject. Take pride in how niche and precisely you can speak on a topic you love, even if it's one typically dismissed as being too girly or frivolous. People will be impressed and admire you for your wealth of knowledge, and you'd be surprised. It may even inspire them to grow interest in the topic themselves.